else anytime. Let's get this over.
All right, go ahead.
I state your name.
Okay, everybody raise your right hand, okay? State your name.
Paul Lauser, Town Justice.
Kevin Armstrong, Town Councilman.
Charles Gregory, Town Supervisor.
Walter Geidel, Superintendent of Highways.
Now I'll take, we do it all at one shot, I think. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your positions
I do.
I do.
in the town of Walton and the county of Delaware according to the best of your ability?
I
I
will.
do.
Okay.
We got them all? This is new to me, so.
Yep. If I can have
They've all stated their
Paul,
position.
you can sign first, and you're gonna sign the book. And then if I can also have you sign the county, just sign and print your name.
Did anybody call Rod? Do you want me to call him?
I did, and he's, has patience today, so he's not gonna be able to attend.
He's out.
Thank you. And here, right there. As well as here and put your name. Okay, thank you. Supervisor Gregory. And sign here. Well, as sign here and just put your name. Thank you. And Superintendent of Highways. Right there. And then sign and print. All right, thank you. Congratulations.
And while the camera's rolling, and while the two judges are here, you know, it's not often that the folks get to see our judges in a less than formal atmosphere. Walton is very fortunate to have these two men as our judges. Don't know what it's like in the middle of the night when one of them gets called out to come in and work with our law enforcement and take care of issues, but we're really fortunate to have both of you gentlemen here, so thank you for all that you do for the town of Walton.
You want to just give me a minute so I can go over the judge?
I guess, okay. Run it down.
Okay, go.
Action.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the organizational meeting for the town of Walton. And let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. So, I'd like to begin with the organizational resolutions. And again, because some people may be watching this and won't have direct access to the minutes, I'm going to read through, so please bear with me. The town board meetings will be the second Monday of each month at 6 p.m. At the Walton Town Boardroom, 129 North Street in Walton, unless advertised differently. There are some holidays that we do shift it. The official radio station will be WDLA. The official newspaper, the Walton Reporter. Also official newspaper, second one, is the Daily Star. The official library is the William B. Ogden Free Library. The official depository is Wayne Bank. The planning board chairman is Mr. Gail Sheridan. The Zoning Board of Appeals Chairman is Mr. Steve Hodge. The Soil Assessor is Mr. Francis Zuyevich. The Floodplain Manager is Mr. Steve Dutcher. Our Town Health Officer is Dr. Michael Friedman. The Board of Assessment Review. This year, Mr. Danny Hodges will be will be reappointed for a term from October 1st, 2018 to September 30th, 2022. Reappointment for the Planning Board will be Mr. Ken Schreider for a term of January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2022. Reappointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals, we do have one vacancy, so we'll be making that appointment later on. The Planning Board alternate is Mr. Graydon Dutcher, and he will serve as the alternate from January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018. The Law Enforcement Officer will be the Delaware County Sheriff Craig S. DeMund. Records Management Officer will be Rhonda Williams, the Town Clerk. The Code Enforcement Officer will be Mr. Stephen Dutcher. The Walton Town Supervisor is authorized to pay, prior to audit, utilities, postage, payroll, expenses, pension-related expenses, health insurance, interest, and principal on town debt, and insurance policies. The Dog Control Officer will be Mr. Steve Dutcher. The mileage reimbursement will be per federal IRS business rate. The Walton Town Highway Superintendent is authorized to advertise for bids as it is necessary on all highway supplies other than those required by the Town of Walton's procurement policy, and that they bring these bids before the town board for review. Approval of salaries per salary schedule listed in the 2018 town budget. The Town of Walton, thank you, the Town of Walton Superintendent is authorized to trade services and/or use of equipment with the other municipalities, school districts, or fire districts as needed. The town board delegates the authority of delegating duties to for all deputy town clerks to the town clerk, with the exception of a vacancy in the town clerk. The Walton town clerk, the Walton court clerk is Kristen Beers, appointed from January 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018.
And before you approve them, I just found a typo. Board of Assessment Review, Danny Hodges. There's a 0 in there. It should be 1/1/18. Apparently got carried away.
So I will entertain a motion to approve this resolution. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. We have no one here for floor time, except our videographer. Ma'am, would you care to address the board? No, okay, thank you. Before I go on to appointments, I'd like to touch on just a few things quickly. The flood gauges for Walton, our floodplain manager and I went before the Catskill Watershed Corporation committee this morning to address those. It was very favorably received for both the West Brook flood gauge, $16,000 to go to the town to offset the installation of the hardware, and also the Lower Third Brook initiative to replace 757 Lower Third Brook to remove the barn that's fallen in the trailer. The next step will be it's been recommended to go before the full board, Catskill Watershed Board, at next month's meeting. The Parks and Recreation and Open Space Questionnaire, we've received several more of those, and I forwarded those to Delhi. We'll still accept them, but the Planning Board is going to be moving forward with that. And I've asked the County Planning Department to come up with a timeline for completion of the town comprehensive plan, the update that we're doing. So we'll look forward to having monthly reports on the status of that. Highway Department, Walt, do you have anything?
Just a actually, I did pass out my yearly year in review. take a look at it. If you have any questions, I don't think you, I mean, you could go through a word for word and page for page, but I don't think we historically don't do that. It's a lot of facts, or just spreadsheets of how much fuel, how much sand, salt, where we work, what we did, a lot. I mean, there's more to it, things that we did on that, but those were kind of, I thought of consequence. And there's a page or two of just some comments that I start out with. Also, I had the annual 284 agreement, which is agreement for the expenditure of highway monies. I actually had, it used to be signed by the majority of the ones here. For general repairs in the sum of $294,000, which is right out of the budget for 98.64 miles. And for the CHIPS money, and that's still kind of, never know if there's gonna be CHIPS money until the budget is passed around April. All indications are that it will, it always has been. But I guess I could read off all the roads that are planned, and this is just for sealing and paving, is what I have those down for. And actually, it's most of them, I think, are up to a 5-year rotation, so it's about 5 years ago that we did it. But that would be for Tennant Road, Tweedy Road, Scott Road, Schofield Road, Mapletop Road, Valley View Road, Walton Mountain Road, Murphy Hill Road. Also to do some, I call T&Ling, or put down about an inch of pavement on Sealy Wood Road, and then sealing over top of that, Sealy Wood Spur and Gosper Road. And if my math and the estimates of, it was actually what we did this year, I added a little bit, because I speculate the stone will be a little bit more, probably the emulsion. That should be for all the CHIPS money. And like last year, we ended up doing it quite a bit, and I came back and redid those. But if you have any questions, there's one needs to go to the county, one needs to go to the town clerk.
You need to sign, both of them need to be signed tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not supposed to sign it too. The only other thing I normally bring up at the reorganization meeting, I see you had that down farther for appointments, and that was for the highway foreman.
Okay.
And that's all I have. Unless you have any questions.
Then while we're sending this around, I'll go ahead with the, actually, do you want to, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I received my tax warrant, and I am authorized to collect the amount of $4,076,533.11. Tax collection for the first day, December 29th, when the governor had signed his executive order for tax collection to start early for those that want to pay their 18 taxes in 2017. I collected 2% of my tax warrant, which totaled like $77,000. And today, as of today, we're still working on getting the escrows out to the banks, because I normally do that at the end of December. But receiving the roll, later and later each year, it puts it off, so we're gonna be a little bit late. The auditor, I called him, spoke to him today, and they will be here next week to start the cash audits. And that is all oh, no, I'm sorry, I have one other thing. If anybody was interested in going to the Association of Towns annual meeting that's gonna be held in New York City in February, and wants to become a designated officer, I just need to know, and we have the forms here for that. That's all I've got.
Okay, then, is there anything else before I move on to appointments? Walt's already advised us of his appointment as a foreman. In addition, I'm appointing Kevin Armstrong as the deputy town supervisor. The town historian will be the Walton Historical Society, and the town board committees will be for Public Works, Councilman Armstrong and Govern; for Finance and Insurance, Councilman Govern and Wood; for Legal and Ordinance, Councilman Govern and Rodriguez; For land use and village liaison, Councilman Rodriguez and Wood. For personnel issues, Councilman Armstrong and Govern. For union negotiations, Councilman Armstrong and myself. For building and grounds, Councilman Armstrong and Wood. For technology, Councilman Armstrong and Govern. For emergency disaster, Councilman Govern and Wood. And finally, for historical will be Councilman Armstrong and Rodriguez.
And I'm not sure if I actually mentioned the name, but I'd like to appoint Mike Merwin.
Okay, and that's for 2018. So, again, superintendent is appointing Mike Merwin as the foreman. Again, folks that are watching this on video, we're fortunate to have such a good team working for the town. Your councilmen, the highwaymen that are out there in the wee hours of the morning. We just have a terrific team down there. They do a very professional job, and they really care about the work they do. So Walton is very fortunate to have you and your team down there
I'll
also.
relay
Thank
that
you.
message.
Please do. Are there any other topics that the board would like to bring up at this time? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, there was something.
Right, the dog, trying to get the dog's license, and I had said that I would put out a plea on Facebook and in my column, which I have done. With that came questions about whether dogs can stay outside, and there are people who seem to think that it's the law that they cannot stay outside for so many hours. The way I read it, and I did not read it thoroughly, I didn't see anything that said Delaware County or Walton that said those things. There are laws in other jurisdictions that say they can only stay out for so many hours and with specific temperatures. There's people who would like to see Walton adopt that, and said that the supervisor had looked into it with other representations of government and et cetera. I don't know what our current thing is, so I couldn't answer them, you know.
Okay. If people like to come talk to me about that, I'd be more than willing to discuss it with them. I'm a little reluctant to jump into additional requirements, but I'll hear them out, so please, if people want to come talk to me, they're more than welcome to. Along those lines,
Sorry.
I need somebody help. Along those lines, our dog control officer was briefing me on a complaint that he had received recently. The party originally called the state troopers. The state troopers came and checked out the dog and was satisfied that the dog was adequately protected in his house and the dog house with blankets and hay in there. After that, the complainant also contacted the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office went and checked it out as well. Again, dog in the house, laying down comfortable with hay around. It was brought to Steve's attention, our dog control officer, and he also went and he concurred with the state police and the sheriff's department.
So obviously they're within the law
There was the law.
in what they're doing,
Yes.
in whatever the law Walton has at this time.
And to the best of my knowledge, from my time on the village board and here, I'm not aware of any that either municipality has pertaining to how long dogs can stay out.
And the town of Walton has adopted the New York State Ag and Markets Law. So when they turned over the dog collection and made the towns issue licenses and stuff, we adopted the New York State Ag and Markets regulations.
They are referencing that, saying that that's where it comes from, but I didn't see it there.
Not a specific time.
Time, amount, and
Nope.
stuff. You know, I mean, and I think that,
Shelter, yes, they do have to have
yeah,
shelter.
shelter and you have to have food, and
Yeah.
I understand that, and I understand that that's what we have and stuff, but it's a matter of whether you wanna leave them out. I couldn't leave my dogs outside, but my dogs are dachshunds, they would freeze out there, that's not like they're huskies or whatever, I mean, it's been checked out and more than once,
Yes.
and that's what it was kinda sounding like to me. I don't know the other recourse we would have, other than to change the law, which you've offered, if people wanna talk to you about that, that's fine. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, I'll.
No, I'll make my motion.
Motion
We're
made
good.
to adjourn, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.